All right, we are live and in person with a new guest host DJ today. My name is Keith Duplessis. If you don't know who I am with Sydney and Kyle, and we are all fired up on a Monday morning. It's still dark out, but that's not going to stop us. So how are you guys today?
I'm all hooked up on Mountain Dew, Grandpa.
Okay, Keith, so we start drinking coffee when the show starts.
I know, me too.
No, I think you started a while ago.
I'm not sure if that's coffee.
Hey, we need to
You're so funny.
energy today, so you better be on your game, folks, because we're going
to Tony's disappointed in the host.
Tony, don't say
that. Yes, Bristol. Gosh, I can never figure this out. Bristol's here today, everybody. See her?
Hi, Bristol.
Kitty. There she is. All right. Good deal. Well, good
It's
morning,
so funny
everybody.
how she knows exactly where to sit.
I know.
She's looking at the camera.
She totally does. She loves going on live. We did a test last night, and man, Bristol showed up, didn't she?
Yep.
So did Gracie.
Mom's on camera.
Gracie showed up for the after hours.
Oh, wow.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody.
That's
so,
right.
Oh, nice. Look at you.
I had to represent my friend in Florida. Well, I don't know. We'll see how good of a friend he is sometimes.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah.
Ow.
Ouch. Well, he's not here yet this morning. So
well, he's usually on Team Sydney, so I'm trying to get him on Team Kyle a little bit. Just a little love.
Yeah. So we've got some Keith Duplessis fans in the comments. We've got some not
find them.
You're getting all sorts of love and hate.
It's all love. It's all love. People just love to pretend like they hate.
That's right.
Oh, look, the Detail Mafia is here. All right, it's fixed. Yes. So, guys, we did have a little test this morning because Keith Duplessis is our host today. Chris Woolman will be missed. He is taking a very necessary week off, has family coming into town. So we called in an audible to Keith and asked him to sit in for us. And the fun part is there's no way to test the system without going live. So bear with us today. It looks like Keith has it figured out, though, how to bring up our comments and things like that. So I'm going to be, if you see me looking at my phone, I'm going to try to be monitoring some comments on YouTube and within our Beadmaker Lounge. Just in case, as you know, in our Beadmaker Lounge, it will show up as just Facebook users. So sometimes we have to look up who that person is that's talking to us. So let's get started. So let's answer this question, then we'll get started with our weeks. So any PNS Black Friday sales coming up? I might have to defer this one to Keith, but we typically leave that to our distributors, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So as most of you know, our business model is kind of, we really support our distribution partners and our storefronts and things like that. And so we don't ever want to take away any sales from them or, have something different than what they have. So we really encourage everybody to use their local market if you can. Also, a lot of our online partners will have really great Black Friday sales. So we try to leave it to them so that they get the business. Is that right, Keith? I feel like that's always kind of what I have felt and seen.
That is the way it usually goes. I will say that Ian and I have been bouncing around with Bob an idea of maybe a Black Friday percentage, but nothing to announce there. But yes, you can always check out AutoGeek. I think the Rag Company does something.
Yep.
Detailing.com sometimes does stuff. Detailed Image does stuff. So just check out those online retailers. If you got a local distributor, just stick with them. They're always giving you the best price anyway. But yes, I do know that we are doing something with AutoGeek this year, probably a little more focused at Christmas, and it will be an absolute Christmas this year. So
I wonder if Miami Lux is doing anything. I wonder maybe he'll pop on and say something.
Never put it
so
past.
Here, let's do this. So I know that we always do have a lot of distributors tune in. So if you are a distributor or storefront and you are on here, put in the comments what your Black Friday website, all of that, and we will help share it for you. Look at that, Josh Pierce. Good morning, Sydney, Kyle, and Chris, but he means Keith. Happy early Thanksgiving to three of my favorite people.
I think some of these comments popped up during the countdown, so they didn't know until they got the big turkey surprise. The turkey's on today.
I'm sure. Good morning, Samantha. Thanks for joining. All right, so real quick, let's talk about.
You guys do your
That's totally fine.
how your week went.
That's totally fine. This is going to be a party. Okay, so let's get started with what's been happening. So we're 2 weeks home from SEMA. I can't even believe it's been 2 weeks. I feel like it's only been a week. So what's been going on, Kyle? We got home from SEMA.
Trying to get back to normal, Keith and I have both been busy taking care of the leads that we got from SEMA, working with possible new distributors and customers. So that's been kind of all encompassing of last week, any free time I had. And I had a bunch of airplanes to get done last week. So I used my favorite product, EnviroClean, and I used it everywhere, all over the bottom of the plane, all over the side of the plane. And then I washed the whole plane with Absolute. So two of my heavy hitters on planes, my favorite products.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's kind of the reason we wanted Absolute in the first place. After using another rinseless wash for 6-7 gallons in 2021, I said, Sydney, why don't we have our own rinseless wash?
Yeah.
Why are we using this other stuff? Which it worked good.
Yep.
And Dave did his magic.
Yeah. Last night I was actually going through some note files that we have on our phones and stuff. And I actually found the notes from 2020 and 2021 where it said Sydney's wants rinseless wash.
Yeah.
It cracked me up. That was super funny. Rick Kolb, is he saying he hasn't tried Absolute yet?
I'm not down there yet.
You're killing me. It just popped up and it just like semi broke my heart, Rick.
EnviroClean or Absolute? I
hopefully he means EnviroClean. Oh goodness. Okay.
Goodness.
All right, my friend. Okay, so my favorite product that I used last week. So honestly, this one's kind of funny, and I'll probably drive some people crazy by saying this, but so last week, most of you guys know my car got wrecked back in September. I got it back in October. If you saw I think this came out after we got home. So I did a video. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. A video on the wash clay seal process. So wash with Absolute, clay with Bead Maker, and the reset towel. Awesome video, super fun. I used my personal Jeep because it was so dirty from the body shop. So we thought, hey, this is great to film with this. So I think we filmed that, it was kind of mid-October. So fast forward to mid-November, like a couple days ago. I had not washed the car at all. It'd been the longest I had never washed the car, which was great. It was so dirty. So the wheels were absolutely black, and I have gold wheels, absolutely black. So 2 of the wheels I used Iron Buster and Brake Buster like I normally do. And as you guys know, I washed in my garage. It made an absolute mess. It always does, which is totally fine. But on the other side, I decided to do Crystal Wash and Brake Buster because that used to be my go-to. And that was like my favorite found combo right before Iron Buster came out. And then Iron Buster kind of, trumped the Crystal Wash, which was totally fine because that's what everybody likes to see, the purple, right? They love that. And so on the passenger side, I used Crystal Wash and the Brake Buster. And honestly, it killed it. It killed it. I mean, Iron Buster is great. But here's what I'll say is that Iron Buster, it does, when you have a ton of brake dust like that, it does create a big mess. So if you're mobile or working inside now that it's winter, you might want to check Crystal Wash out because it does create such less mess. I mean, Iron Buster does great. Crystal Wash does great. What I noticed the biggest difference was just the mess afterwards. So Crystal Wash did an amazing job. It was so easy to wash that side, almost easier just because not as much, Iron Buster really kind of, it creates a whole slurry, right, out of the brake dust. So I'm still a huge fan of Crystal Wash. It did such a great job, even all the way back into the barrels and on the brake calipers and stuff. It just was awesome. So that was my, it's one of those that I'll forget about for several months and then I use it again and I'm like, oh, I just love this product. It's so great. but I often forget about it just because Iron Buster is a little bit easier to grab. So I'm excited that, it's winter and, my garage doesn't get, cleaned out as much, the floor. And so I'm going to be switching to Crystal Wash for the winter, just because it doesn't, dry up on its own now. So I'm super excited about going back to my Crystal Wash process. So if you've not tried out Crystal Wash, I highly recommend it. I know back in the day when I got Kyle hooked on Crystal Wash, it was because he was washing in customers' driveways, right? And needed something that wasn't going to leave a big mess, leave something to clean up, leave any stains. So check it out.
Yeah, I dig Crystal Wash. It's nice. The only thing I would say is
The fumes.
You may want to wear a
Yes.
mask.
Well, if you're outside, I don't think it's as big a deal. But
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But yes, it can be a little overwhelming, but the effect is cool on the car, and I've always really liked that product. I thought it was a great product for a long time. But tough part is Iron Buster, we can ship from the mothership, and we can't ship Crystal Wash. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, it's an acid-based product, so it's a little bit on the hazardous side.
Huh. I thought we could.
You have to order it.
Got to get it from
your distributor.
Get it from a distributor
at their store.
Cool.
So I want to answer Anthony's question real quick. Yes, Anthony, we see your stuff. So this is the right account, whatever message this came from. Sounds like you are doing some fun stuff for distributors this year. Anthony is our Dallas distributor, and he's kind of in between Dallas and Fort Worth in the Arlington area, south of Dallas. So if you're in Dallas, check him out.
Yep.
Carter's Car Care.
You can join whatever page you'd like. So yeah, we've got lots of good mornings from the Beadmaker Lounge. I think that one was from Terry Foreman.
There's an old friend. Hey, Bill. Good morning.
Yeah. This one is, let me tell you, that one's Terry Foreman also. So there's lots. I'm going to just read these because we have lots in the Beadmaker Lounge.
Yep.
So Joe Kimball in, remind me what city he's in. I want to say Tacoma.
He is in Gig Harbor, but you might as well
Gig
say
Harbor. Yeah.
Yep.
So he's got sales going on. William Lara with Miami Lux has Black Friday 20% off the whole website. We've got Joe Kimball is they're finalizing their Friday specials. So if you're up in Washington, watch for that. So yeah, lots of sales going on around, which will be great. There's lots of comments coming in. Yes, Tony, I think we did film that video the day you got the speeding ticket. Did you guys hear about that? Tony got a speeding ticket in my Mini Cooper.
No, what? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me though.
He did. He did.
How fast, Tony? Well, where was it at?
It was pretty fast. I won't divulge too much information, except it was in a school zone.
Text me.
He got in a little bit of trouble. He had a little bit of trouble. It was pretty funny.
They actually enforce those laws in Idaho, Tony. California, maybe not. But...
They do. Firehouse Mobile Detail. It is Kimball's Auto Detail. And I think that's the name of his, I know that's the name of his detail shop, but he has the full line of PNS. So he is in Gig Harbor. It's Kimball's.
And it's on Kimball, of all things. Not the same.
Funny.
Yeah.
Well,
Tony. I'm disappointed and delighted at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh, well, hey, it's the week before Thanksgiving. How about a little forgiveness? What do you say?
Yeah.
So funny.
So I had a question.
There are questions,
and I wanted
like crazy.
Yeah. So just so we can finish up this Black Friday thing, I just got a text message from Bob Phillips himself. He said they will do the same sale that they did last year, which is 35% off on Black Friday.
Ooh, Ian's going to be a busy boy though next week.
He is. So that will be on the So that'll be on the PNS Detail Products website.
That's great.
So check that out. And yeah, if you feel so inclined to make Ian work his little tail off, that's the way to go.
Fair enough.
That's the way to go. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So, now see, I'm trying to manage all this. Here we go. So let's find out who this is from. My things don't pop up. So question. In Northern California, this was from Terry, right? Now, vehicles are covered with moisture in the morning. I have customers that are requesting ceramic, but they cannot store their car in their own garage for proper curing. I can only keep cars in my garage for, and then I'm sure it goes on. I kind of get where he's going with this. So the problem is you're concerned that you can't keep the cars and some people don't have their cars in a garage. Is it going to be okay? Here's where the bead maker comes in. So when you're done with the ceramic, always put a layer of the bead maker on. If you are doing inspiration or legend plus soul, you only need to wait 30 minutes and put bead maker on. If you're doing 2 layers of inspiration, wait 2 hours to put the bead maker on. So as long as you have that coat of bead maker, that's why we have you put that on there, is that becomes the kind of the sacrificial layer. It becomes its protective layer while the coating is curing. So as long as you have that on there, you're going to be totally fine with that moisture in the morning. They don't need to dry it off. Just let the coating be. It's going to be fine. So, and that goes for a lot of us that live in areas where it might rain within the first day. As long as you have that bead maker on there, you're going to be totally fine. Totally fine. So I think that was probably where his question was going. If not, Terry, let me know.
That would be like the last, case scenario. I would still try and find a place to keep it indoors, over the first couple nights.
Yes. That's ideal. But obviously always indoor is ideal, but
there's a lot of people that have apartments in the neighboring city in Rancho Cucamonga, and a lot of them can't keep their cars. So I'll either store it in my garage overnight for the first night, at least that first night, so it gets it. And or I also team up with a friend who has a window tent business, and I do stuff at his shop all the time, so I could get a couple nights out of a vehicle being parked there. So you just get creative if you have to.
Yep. All right, here's a quick question, and I know we can't answer it.
Okay, Bob Sydney, I want to know if you already have a release date for the air fresheners. No, we don't. And we don't. So Gabriel, I've been begging for air fresheners for about 3.5 years. Fair enough.
That's what I said. All right, move on.
It's a funny thing. Sydney talked about her list from 2 years ago. In 2019, Bob, Dave, and I and Randy put together a list of products we wanted to make, and I think there's still 5 or 6 left on that list. So,
I saw the list. I'll have to break out the list. There was only one that hasn't been made yet, but I know we're working on it. So
there you go.
Yeah, we may be working on it.
Yeah. Okay. So question from Two Shine: what safety precautions do you guys recommend for beginners? This is a good question, and this could take a minute. So we'll try to jam through it. So go for it, Kyle.
So being mobile, I guess mobile and a shop, anytime you blow a car out, make sure you wear eye protection. I've had a little bit of sand shot back in my face before. I always wear gloves as much as possible. And I've been stupid in the past not to wear a mask, an actual proper PPE mask when I've been doing some acid cleaning. So those would be my top 3 to protect yourself. There's many others, but those are what I do. I always wear sunglasses all the time, so that's kind of my eye protection, but I issue my guys eye protection and gloves.
Yep.
What else? There's a lot more I could say, but
so
give them all away.
So for me, I think that my answers are the overlooked ones, and that is physical, what would you call it? Like physical safety. So really taking care of your body. So posture, using the right tools, using the right shoes is a big one. Making sure you're doing things right, not putting abnormal, strain and things on your back and your body and your joints. All of that stuff really leads to big problems later, like 5 to 10 years down the road. So I think obviously when we think safety precautions, we're always thinking, gloves and eyewear and stuff, but there's a lot of damage that can be done to your physical structure that are things that could either be career ending or just really age you and bring a lot of pain. So for me, it's really making sure that you get trained properly, that you have the correct seating or carts, to get around, clean wheels. Leaning over into the vehicles to do vacuuming can be quite strenuous on your back. So a lot of it is, keeping yourself in shape, drinking plenty of water, just keeping yourself physically fit enough to do the demands of what we do when we're detailing. I know for me, early on, I was a busy mom. I didn't have time to take care of my body and all that. So, I was working out half my body and not the other half. And I have 5 herniated discs. I have sciatica problems. I have neck problems. I have nerve damage from the horrible polishers I was using. So a lot of it is just that, making sure that you have the right techniques and trainings and that you are taking care of your body in the meantime. Because that is a big safety concern.
Well,
and my dog needs to go out. So
something you brought up that was interesting, about good footwear, shoes. I wear boots a lot, especially because I work in commercial areas often. But one thing I notice detailers do that I just don't get is they will polish an entire RV standing on a ladder.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem very safe, but also it has to kill your feet after. So I invested in scaffolding years ago, planks, and scaffolding, because one, it kind of preserves your energy. It's easier to walk back and forth on a 10-foot plank than it is to move a ladder 10 times. That would be a big one for me. If you're going to do RVs or larger stuff, get a good ladder, good step ladder, good scaffold or planks. I know this because I had a cheap step ladder, and it wrecked. And when it broke, it wrecked my foot for a year. I've only recently been able to stand on a ladder and not hurt. So, and I bought a very expensive step ladder after. It was like, I went from like the $30 Home Depot to like the $300, what do you call that? Little Giant, and well worth it.
Yep. And Joe had a good comment. He says, long beards and necklaces should be tied or stuffed up inside your shirt. They can get sucked into the polisher. Yes. And there's a video that made its rounds on Facebook a few years ago about a beard getting stuck in it.
Ask me now how I know, Joe.
Yep. So here's one from Samantha, and I think this actually applies to both safety and the coding thing, which is, hey, you got a 15 by 10 tent that she works under. If you're outside in the elements, protecting for the elements is a huge thing as a detailer. And this was related to the ceramic question for application. So I think it fits for both.
Yeah, cool. So my question for Sam then, do you, so she probably just keeps the car overnight, right? And that helps. Is that what she's saying? I'm guessing that's what she means. So she's saying she uses a 15 by 10 tent with sides and works. That's awesome. And so, so this would be a tip for Terry. If you're not able to keep them, maybe you could invest in a tent and keep them inside the tent. And I want to say Terry's in the Bay Area. So that should work. Yeah.
Or one of those, one of those inflatable paint booths, if you really want to drop some money, but that would be cool.
Yeah. Totally.
So
they make those car bubbles.
Yeah. So we're getting dragged back to the coding question again. So Mike's asking about rain and coding, and his next question is, what's the total cure time for the coding? So I'll let you guys field those two.
Yeah.
Well,
so
go ahead.
The rain. Yeah. So the rain, just same bead maker, and try to avoid it.
Yeah. Right. If it was like rain, and then it cleared up outside, I would probably go outside after and blow it off with like a leaf blower to get the water droplets off.
Yeah.
It's already going to start to be hydrophobic. I wouldn't really towel dry it though. I'd recommend blowing it. As far as total cure time, I usually tell people don't get it wet for 48 hours, and don't wash it for a week. But I know it probably cures faster than that. I just like to tell people a week. It's an easy way for them to go, oh, they did it last Tuesday. I guess today, it can do its first wash, whatever it is. But I've always said 48 hours just so it gets a couple good nights of curing inside a garage before it gets wet.
Yeah. So Michael Hill came in the comments. He says that it's 10 to 14 days for full cure and 12 hours for shell cure. So, and that's important to know is that even though, there's a point in that timing where, as long as the outside is cured, you're fine from like elements and things like that. But that's why we always recommend waiting at least a week before you wash the vehicle. So, there's the time where you need it to cure from like rain and snow and ice and things. And then there's the full curing. So, and then Joe Kimball here says, I use IR curing lights on all coatings. That could be an option. So absolutely. And I can totally see why Joe uses those because he lives in Gig Harbor and it rains nonstop. And so you kind of have to have those additional ways to kind of quick cure the coatings. And so you can absolutely use an IR curing light. I have one too. I've used it in situations like that where, I do use it more during the winter. Really sun is a coating's best friend, but, none of us may see the sun for a while, at least in my area. So, so there's options. So if you live in an area where you constantly get, kind of those situations, have that IR curing light. And that's also can be something that will help you sell coatings is taking away that fear for people, of living in an area where maybe the weather's not so nice, because you'll be able to do more coatings and not have cancellations and things like that if you have those items in place to ease your customer's mind that the coating that they just paid for is not going to get messed up. So yeah, definitely think about all those things.
So Two Shines back, want to say thanks, and obviously yes, the glasses are a big thing. We can fix a lot of things, cuts heal, breaks heal. You can't replace eyeballs. So yeah, definitely. And hearing protection is a huge one. If you're inside cars with noise, take it from a guy with hearing damage to protect your hearing.
Well, the last one I was going to mention on that was, I talked about acids and masks. I can't tell you how many times I've sanded headlights and I didn't.
Yeah.
And I was breathing in all the dust. So where I started wearing just a face sock to keep the big particles out, but you probably should wear a dust mask. It would be wise when dealing with compounds or sanding.
Yep. All right. So this next question is from Kyle Camus. So does Legend apply different than other coatings, and is humidity an issue? So it does apply slightly different. It's quite a bit thicker. So if you've used coatings that are fairly, thick, it's a little bit thicker going on, which is nice. You can totally see everywhere that you've put it. And oddly enough, Legend kind of sweats. So it kind of, and I would say probably, I don't know, maybe I do a lot of Legend. So I'm going to say on probably 80% of paints, it sweats. Other ones, it doesn't necessarily do anything. You just got to test it. So it kind of sweats as it is flashing. It doesn't have a rainbow or anything like that. And then you really want to test it with a towel. And when the towel moves easily, that's when it's time to remove it. If it's still sticky, it's still doing its thing. So that's kind of how we test it, as I just lay a towel after like 30 seconds. And if it moves, you're good to go. Humidity. I had a lot of humidity here in Idaho this summer, and I did a lot of Legend. I didn't have any trouble. I have heard from folks that live in more humid areas. And if anybody's in the chat that has, lives in the South or something that has a lot of humidity, I don't think Idaho humidity is the same as like Georgia humidity. So I didn't have any trouble, but I've heard from, like, I have a friend in Hawaii that Legend isn't super easy to use there, that it's a commitment. So, that's my experience with, Idaho humidity, it's fine.
You don't have humidity.
I was going to say, if Idaho humidity is a
not
thing,
very much.
That's a new word, Idaho humidity.
Yeah, there's been some people that have told me, in Florida or in Hawaii that it takes more time and attention to get through the process, but it's doable.
Yeah. Yep. Is Jamie talking about thick with 2 C's on Legend?
Maybe 3 C's now, he says.
Maybe 3 C's. That's funny.
Yeah, we're now having a race, an arms race for C's, so we might get up to 10.
Perfect. Perfect.
All
That's
right.
funny.
We'll jump to
awesome. All right, next up. What about side temp ranges to apply Legend and other coatings? Oh, outside. I was like, what are side temps? What about outside temps? So Kyle,
Yeah,
I've
I've
never
done
installed
Legend
Legend outside.
outside, but I've done it in the shade. The ambient temperature can be pretty insane. You know, if it's 110 outside and you're in the shade, it's doable, but the problem is that the paint has to be cool. So you can't just bring a car into the shade and coat it if the paint is still hot. So as long as the paint was
Yeah.
cool to the touch, it's in the shade, it could be 115 out, which I've done. It's going to flash very quickly, but it's doable. Another thing that you'll find can be a problem is if you're outside and there's a breeze blowing, even if it's very slight, air movement across the surface can make it flash super fast.
Yeah.
We were doing a class at Hot Wax down in Orange County a year or two ago, and when we were doing Legend, it was flashing very quickly, even though the paint was cool and we were in the shade. There was a breeze blowing through the, I guess you'd say it's kind of an overhang. So, and it was flashing like instantly. We'd put it on and we were already wiping. So keep an eye out for the wind and the ambient temperature.
Yeah.
This is why you're a detailer. You have to learn how to deal with these for your environment, these issues.
Yep. Yeah. So a
What
couple
people are actually
comments.
paying for.
A couple comments. We've got Louise saying a portable dehumidifier in Tampa is the way to go. So that's great. And then Mike in is MA, is that Massachusetts?
Massachusetts.
It just takes more time in the humidity. So it really, you just got to figure out those sweet spots. And so Legend is one where, like I mentioned, you know, it can be a 10-second wipe off. It can be a 1-minute wipe off. So you just have to figure out that sweet spot and figure out what works for you. But, you know, my guess is it's going to be a little bit thicker. It's going to be a little bit tougher, you know, and, one thing that I did, and this was more related to heat, but I could see how humidity would be the same, was in the summer, I started like prepping the cars at night, doing all the paint correction, and then I would keep the car overnight and I would apply the coating first thing in the morning. So
Yeah.
I was just trying to not do it like in the dead of the day when weather situations were the worst. So you might just have to adjust the way you do your schedule if you have a lot of humidity.
And Kyle said here, well said, one day I had fans running in my shop and it was
Oh
flashing.
yeah.
I had
Yeah.
the same thing. I actually
Yep.
have to point my fans in a different
Yeah.
direction, so you don't get the fans blowing all over.
Yep. I gotta kick somebody out of YouTube. Hang on one second.
Yeah.
Nobody else can see that, but I'll take care of it. So yes, so definitely the fans, and I have to totally turn mine off when I can't find that person in the chat.
Yeah.
I have to turn my fans off when I'm working. So
you just can't have it blowing at the vehicle. I've kind of pointed them a different direction to keep a little air movement, you know, on a hot day, but yeah, that it definitely makes a difference.
yes. So I see somebody here, and I know you guys, there's just a lot of questions, so we're missing a couple.
Are you talking
Pull
about
up another question, but then Bill Pearson, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see his question in here, so
okay, I'll just read it.
Let me
I'll
see if
read
I can
it.
go up.
Oh, I have it on here. So Bill Pearson said, any thoughts on Hawaii Tesla Details honey pot concoction? 2 ounces absolute, 6 ounces bead maker, and then distilled water. So we have gotten a lot of messages about this honey pot situation. I have not tried it yet. I've been meaning to, but I just don't have an empty bottle, but I will certainly try it. I know I mean, all I can say is that we've had a lot of people asking about it, and it seems like a lot of people really like it, using it as a drying aid. So, you know, we try to not recommend mixing products just because then we can't say exactly what they're going to do. And I think for us on the manufacturer side, it's a little bit frustrating when something doesn't work and then people get mad that the mixing of it didn't work. It sounds like people love the honey pot, just like people love the clean maker mix from Jamie. So that video was great though. I love the Tesla details guy. He's awesome. He does great videos, and he seems like he knows what he's talking about, and everybody loves it. So I have not tried it yet, but we have heard nothing but fun comments about it, and I love the name. I'm not sure where honeypot came from, but
a little scary. So
I like honeypot.
You got a new products or anything new?
Yeah. Yep. New year coming up. Anything either of you plan to change up with your business in the new year? Pricing, packages. What a great question.
Yeah.
Kyle.
Really good question. Well, it's a new year for me, and actually I'm down some employees. I had a guy move on to a new career. I have another one leaving to serve a mission. And so it's just me and John for a little bit. So I am I think I want to take a couple days off and work on marketing material and work on marketing to find employees. I need more help. We're still steadily busy, and I know that I'm going to be working my butt off by myself, or there's just, those days when I have things that I need to do, and I also have work that I need to send my guys to go do work without me. So, as far as pricing and packages go, I think it's time to tune up my pricing, look at my prices, my running rate, my costs, and make sure that I'm still good. And that's why I love the new year for that, because it's always good time to raise or lower your prices. And I'm happy with software. I'm utilizing a good software for my detailing. I probably need to spend some more time inputting packages and updating packages in my software. That would be a good idea. But, and I have been thinking about doing some updates to my website or finding someone to do my website stuff for me. Yeah, it's time. It's been about 3-4 years since I did my site. So yeah, it's always a good time. And especially as work slows down a little, the first little bit of January, they'll have some free time to do that. That's really good.
Yeah. For me, I might have a little bit of pricing change, not too much. I'm pretty comfortable where I'm at, and I don't want to, shake things up too much. So I'll probably stick where I'm at on my pricing. But my biggest challenge in my business has been follow-up. I used to be so good at my follow-up and, keeping my customers on a maintenance schedule, and I got everybody in all the time. And I've noticed over the last 18 months that there's just been a lot of customers that haven't necessarily fallen through the cracks. They haven't gone anywhere else, but their cars haven't been serviced. And I don't think they even realize how long it's been. So, I need to really get on top of that. And I don't know where I'm going to put them, but I need to get on top of that. I need to get that system. Now that I have my daughter working for me, she can take a lot of those maintenance details. So I need to really, it's going to take a lot of work on my part because I don't have all of that stuff in software. So, I'm using a software now, but all of those past people are not in it. So I need to kind of figure out how I can be really on top of that, because that's one area in my business that I really slipped over the last 18 months. Add-ons, I don't want any add-ons. I like 2 things on my menu. So I don't have any add-ons. And then the other thing is, what was my other thought? It was the checking with people, and then I think that's it. I think that's it. I just need to be better on managing my own business. A lot of it, and I was talking to somebody about this the other day, is that because I've been in business now about almost 11 years, it's all in my head. And the space it's like my phone and my computer. This year I had to get a new phone and computer because there was no more memory. And the same thing is happening up here. So somehow I've got to figure out how to extract the information and get it to something more reliable.
That's funny you said that, because that's exactly why I started using software.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't remember things anymore. I couldn't remember. Yeah. I used to know every one of my customers, every one of their, their vehicles, the dent, their scratch.
Yep. Yeah.
And I don't know it anymore. So I had to use something that could duplicate that in my brain.
Yeah.
And make life easier. And now my biggest challenge, because I've streamlined it using software, is I got to remember to look at my software sometimes. I totally screwed up on Saturday, and I got to make up for it today. So it happens. So you got to, once you have the software, you have to utilize it.
Yep.
Yeah, and if I could make a recommendation here, even if you're just starting out and you're pretty you have a small customer base, I cannot stress enough, honestly, you guys, get a software now. Make the investment, because if you wait till you're like me and you have, 500 customers, it is so hard to catch up. And if you start like a business and run like a business from the beginning, you will avoid so many headaches in the future that I'm talking, even if you're only doing a couple details a week, I cannot stress enough what a value the software is and how it will absolutely pay you back. It really, really will. So I just can't say that enough. When I look back on the big mistakes I made, that is like number one.
Yeah,
It
and
really
I
is.
love having an app-based software,
Yeah.
app and
Yeah.
site, because I
Yeah.
used one long
Yeah.
time ago, like 6 years ago, that was on a website,
Mm-hmm.
and I literally had to, take it and like use my fingers to put all,
Right.
so it didn't
Yeah.
work for me mobile, but now
Mm-hmm.
it works mobile or on my laptop. But I was going to ask
Yeah.
Keith, a lot of people don't know this about Keith, but he owns a company called Detail Plus. What are you going to be doing for Detail Plus coming this year, Keith?
Less. Believe it or not. No, I mean, I think this is a thing. When I brought that company into my life, back in my life, when I came back to it, I decided I'm going to do less. And I think that's something that we all should focus on. Sydney actually was a shining star for me when I met her, because she doesn't have 23 packages. She's got 2. So I think sometimes, of reevaluating what your business is, what you want it to be. I mean, Kyle, I'd be willing to bet that if everybody went through all the packages they offered and they realized what, the bottom 3 that don't get sold, you got to evaluate that. You got to look at it and say, is it worth doing it again? Should it be eliminated? Or do I need to do something more like marketing it to focus on it because it is a good service, but nobody knows I do it? So my thing is to do less with that. We have a lot of products on there that I just I want to step away from because they don't move like they should. So you have to look at why they're not moving and make a decision on what they're doing. But less can be more. I try to focus on what we do well and get out of the way of the rest of the stuff, because there are other outlets in the market that I'm not going to compete in. So I think that's a thing. The other part is, that's also part of your end of year evaluation. Maybe you need to add something because you aren't doing it and you got to ask for it a lot. So I think that's always valuable. Sit down and look at what your business really did. Look at the numbers and then say, man, I put a lot of effort into marketing that and I sold 7 of those this year. Not worth my effort.
Right. Yeah.
One thing I was going to say, years ago, I used to have to beg people to hear about ceramic coatings because I've been doing ceramic coatings for 10 years. Now I get calls daily. People want a ceramic coating, but now they're looking for, they don't understand what it is. So I'm educating them, but now they're looking for price over value. Sometimes, even though you're telling them the best value, the best longevity, your best coating, they're still looking for a price. So you kind of have to evaluate and see, why you're not closing those sales and how are you going to close those sales. I get calls all the time. And it's kind of crazy. I'll tell people, my most expensive coating and my cheapest coating. And some people are like, I want the most expensive. And some people will hear my cheapest coating and they will go, holy cow, there's a guy doing that and polishing it and spending 2 days on it for less. That's not me. But, you got to figure out who your customer is and what packages you should focus on. Just because you're doing thousands of dollars on a vehicle, but you're spending a week doing it, doesn't think it's not a good thing. You probably could do in, one day, 2 or 3 of your cheapest coatings and make that same amount in a day. So you got to kind of prioritize what you want to focus on. Somebody just said, is software a good investment? Sarah said,
Sarah, yeah.
yeah, for even a weekend warrior. And I would say, yeah. there are packages for certain software companies where you have limited access to things.
Yeah.
There's like basic and then there's professional. I
Yeah.
would give it a try because like Sydney said, I wish I would have done a few things in the beginning, had all my customers' info in one place. I used to use a ledger, I used to write people's names in, and then I used to put everyone's info in my phone. I wish I had the kind of software I have now that I could export or move around if I needed. And so as you grow, you'll do that. And and I wish I would have taken more pictures when I was first starting out. I don't have very many pictures of me detailing 24 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
the
would
king
have
of
some pretty
pictures is probably
interesting
Prentice.
pictures. I wish I had a camera then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same.
I mean,
Same. So yeah, Sarah, I too, I think it's a good idea just because, I mean, if we could tell you how many weekend warriors we see turn into, full blown detailers, you're going to want that kind of base for, foundation for your business. So yes, absolutely. I think it's totally worth it. And, I don't know the pricing, but let's say it's $50 a month, I believe is like kind of the average, basic package. Just in, if it reminds one customer of yours to schedule, it pays for itself. So don't worry about the $50. You will make that plus back just from the customer service that just the software behind the scenes provides to your customers is amazing. So,
yeah, you're just
sure.
going to have to tie it into your run rate and charge the customer an extra $5 or whatever, or, per vehicle.
Yeah.
Because it's worth it. And if you do take off and it becomes your full blown career, you're going to be grateful you already had it.
Yep.
All right.
So all right, we got like 13 minutes because I got to bounce.
Oh, good. I was glad. This is the one I was going to ask you to go back to. So I'm assuming the Detail Mafia is that Oscar coming through on that? I'm just going to guess.
We've got a few choices there, but we'll
I know. I'm going to go with maybe it's Oscar. Okay. So how long will the reset towel? I actually love this question. How long will the reset towel last? What's the best way to tell it needs to be replaced? So here's my answer. I've been using, so these towels are the same as the Rag Company ones. I've been using them for years. So I will tell you how I knew it needed to be replaced. The only way that I've ever known is when I ruin it. So I've never had one truly wear out. It's, I still have my very first one that is probably 3 years old that's been used on hundreds of cars. How I ruin them though is either improper care or I melt them. I've melted several of them on like running them across adhesive removers or tar removers. Using them with the wrong chemical, I'll get a big melted spot or something like that. But honestly, gosh, if you're taking care of it and cleaning it the way that it should be, we're talking, it should last you 100, 200 cars. I'm not even sure. I mean, if properly cared for, it lasts a really long time.
The biggest failure point I see on those is people leave them sitting on a cart and they melt. They get cooked in the sun, and if they get shiny, you're probably done with them. If they get shiny or as long as they kind of keep their matte kind of grayish black color, then they're fine. But that's usually the biggest thing. Either that or they dry out. You leave them sitting way too long and they dry out and get crispy.
I've never ruined one that way. How I have ruined one is I had an employee clean tar off of a vehicle.
That's what I've done.
And then go ahead and clay the vehicle, and he went right through the tar remover, and then it destroyed it instantly. So
instantly.
You will just start smearing the rubber membrane substrate everywhere.
That was not one of my guesses. The Detail Mafia is Jim Gogan. That's so funny. Hi, Jim.
Oh, awesome, Jim.
That was totally unexpected. That's awesome.
Awesome.
Okay, so is there any true benefit to layering legend? Sorry, I've asked. I believe this is Billy. Hi, Billy. So I don't do 2 layers of legend. I do legend plus soul plus bead maker and or paint gloss and dream maker. So this actually comes from Michael Hill, who I know is here in the chat today. So when legend first came out, I started using soul right away as the topper. We weren't really sure if that was the right decision, but then Michael helped us kind of figure out what was the winning combo, if you will. So how he explains it, and sorry, Michael, if I totally butcher this, but so Legend is a very high solid coating. And so if the more high solids that you put on top of each other, the more brittle they can become, because we're driving vehicles on the road. The bodies are still flexing. Everything still needs to have a little bit of movement to not fracture. So we have found that the Legend plus Soul is, it gives it just enough flex, but protection. So you want your hardest layers on the bottom and then softer as you go up. And so basically the Legend is the base layer and the one that does all the work. The Soul is the one that protects the Legend, but also has all the benefits of a ceramic. And then Bead Maker protects the Soul while it's curing, and so on. So that is the process I've been using since Legend came out, which has been, what, 2 years? Just about 2 years now. Yeah. Actually, it's been about 2.5 years, right? It came out early
for us
2020
in the building, yes.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's all I've been doing. All the vehicles come back. I see a lot of them. I do, and I mean a ton of Legend, and that's been great. I have done 2 layers of Legend one time. I saw no benefit, and I actually preferred the performance and the feel of the coating when I did Legend and Soul. So definitely never do more than 2 layers of Legend ever. That would be really bad, just because that you're making it harder and it is going to fracture. So definitely no more than 2 layers. And I would really stick with Legend and Soul.
Yeah, we haven't found any issue with doing 2 layers of Legend at all. So there's no failure point there.
Yeah, no, there's no failure, but
for ease of use
easier.
and pleasurable experiences, Bob would say it's absolutely Legend with Soul over it. And the same actually goes for Inspiration. We've had the same success and enjoyment out of that as well.
Yeah. And let's jump forward to Kyle's comment, just because it goes with it. He says, how long do you usually wait to apply Soul after Legend? 12 hours? No, 40 minutes.
Right.
30 to 45 minutes is all you need. So I like to do them right back to back. The reason that I don't like to wait 12 hours, I have before, but it's not my favorite, just because there's no way you're going to avoid dust and things getting on the surface. That's just life. So I'm not a big fan of going back over, which you would want to with like a paint prep in between. If you waited 12 hours, I'm not a big fan of that. So I would try to do it. I do it 45 minutes, and sometimes I'll wait 2-3 hours. That's totally fine. But no sooner than 45 minutes, and ideally within the next couple hours.
Yeah.
You'll be good.
And Tony, they did have cameras 24 years ago. They just couldn't see it until they developed it. They had to go and take it somewhere and have it developed.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Next question.
I'm surprised you were around then.
Next question. I believe this is from Terry. Question for you: any training facilities, stores in Utah? A new detailer reached out to me. Yes. We have a really great distributor in Salt Lake City, Budco. So absolutely suggest that they go check out Budco. They have the full line of PNS products. Awesome detail supply store. One of our really great distribution partners, and he will want to talk to Shad, and that's SHAD. Shad handles all of their trainings and things like that. So they usually do several over the year. We always try to squeeze one in. So definitely have him reach out to Budco. And it's BUDCCO?
Double D.
2 Ds. Double D. BUDDCO. Yep. Yeah. Awesome store. Love those guys. And then I believe this one was also Terry. Yes. Opinions on Hot Shot for bad wheelbarrows.
Like the barrel wheels. Hot Shot's a great cleaner. Pretty, I don't know. I would still use Brake Buster. I don't think you're going to have a problem. Is the wheel off and you're doing just the barrel from the backside, or are you going through the face? I'm not sure. Hot Shot's a great cleaner though. I just don't know what it's going to do to certain types of wheels.
And I'm going to go back. Yeah. And I'm going to go back to saying, add some Crystal Wash.
Yeah. Honestly, I'd go Crystal Wash because it's I mean, it's like using a wheel acid, but
Yeah.
more mild.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to get a lot more brake dust and those iron built up. It's going to come off better, or go just iron remover.
Yeah.
Go with iron buster.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I've always liked Sydney's put the iron remover and the brake buster on there in a layer, or just the wash and the brake buster. They're built for that. That's exactly what they're built for. So, I mean, that tends to be where I go. I'm not a big fan of taking a product designed for degreasing and using it for something different, and vice versa. So,
I would use hot shot in the wheel wells. If you wanted to degrease and scrub the heck out of the wheel wells, that's where I would use it. But the barrel, it could hurt the finish. I just don't know if it's like an open pore satin powder coat. It could be bad for it. I'd still go with the crystal wash or the iron buster.
I got some speed around here, guys, so I'm bouncing ahead as quick as I can.
Okay, so I'm new to paint correction. I brought my car to the dealership for repairs. Now I have deep scratch in the roof. Do you recommend try to wet sand it or go to somebody with more experience? Go to somebody with more experience.
Go someone experienced, especially someone that has a paint gauge that can measure the thickness of your paint. Because if it's a new vehicle, all the paint's thin now. So
definitely go to
need to measure.
Yeah, go to a professional for that. That's scary. Yeah. Can you recommend a software package just for starting the business? There's lots of them out there. I think that probably one of the more, I would say probably Urable, because they do have kind of that basic package. So for somebody just starting the business, it's pretty user friendly, and they have a free trial. So I would definitely recommend doing the free trial. There's no strings attached or anything. You can kind of, and I think all of them have free trials, right? If I remember.
All of them, Bookie, Detail Bookie, Urable.
Yeah. So if you're just starting, I would do all the trials, and I would do them at the same time, right? Wouldn't you recommend that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's going to take a little bit of work. It's going to take a little bit of work, but the thing is you don't want to miss any of your customers. So I would do at least 2 trials at a time, all in tandem with each other. You're going to have to enter that information several times, but I promise it'll be worth it, because you're going to figure out which one works for your business, and then you can eliminate the other ones. And the only reason I'm
customers or 4 or 5 customers and see how they all play.
Yeah.
All your customers.
Honestly, what I did is make myself a customer, and I put fake jobs in. And I that way I could see how the text messages, reminders, and emails worked. And when I tested, but it's been a while since I tested another software. I'm pretty happy with the one I have.
Yep. Yeah. So, okay. Next question up. What is the best way to market? I have a small business, and with the economy really down, I need to bring in more customers, and I have never advertised before.
Man, you're just going to have to do what we all did at the beginning. Get out and start knocking doors, the places where people congregate. So businesses probably is where I would start. The kind of businesses that usually have their cars washed are like doctors' offices, medical professionals. You might probably want to avoid like the city, like actual city employee people, because there's a lot of regulations on city properties. But those things, I did a lot of work for fire and police officers, people that have money, that want their stuff taken care of, that don't have time. That's what you're looking for. Other business owners, their stuff, fleets, and you're just going to have to bring your information, license, insurance, and don't sell yourself short, though. Don't start off cheap. Start off fair.
And my answer, I'll keep short, because this is kind of my answer for everything on the marketing side, is I've only ever done word of mouth. So you have a small business, you probably have great relationships with your customers. Send them messages, send them cards asking for referrals. That is the best type of new customer to have, is a referral. Your customers have already built the value for you. And so there is no shame in reaching out to your customers and with a nice note saying, I'm really trying to build up my business. I would really appreciate it if you would share my name with your friends and family that you think would love to take care of their car, however you want to word that. But that is going to be the biggest return, is asking your customers for referrals. And I promise you, those customers that you get are going to be more great customers. So definitely don't skip over ask for referrals. Okay, so Anthony, same question. That's how long does the sidekick last, and how do you know when to replace them?
When it's
When
not
you're afraid to
working
stick your
anymore.
hand, yeah, or when you're afraid to stick your hand in the mitt anymore.
I've
So
worn one completely down in the middle because of, scrubbing and stuff, but it took, 6 months
yeah,
before I destroyed it. So
I've
they're
never
good
ruined
value.
one. Yeah, I've never ruined one other than just getting it to the point where it's just nasty. So I've never worn
Yeah.
down the scrubbing part, but just where they get kind of nasty. So, I think if you're taking care of them, the longer they're going to last. And then depending on if you're using it outside or only inside, if you're using it for outside stuff, you're probably going to wear it down because those materials are a lot harder.
Yeah.
But it's going to last a really long time. Tony,
I had
how
a
do you clean your
distributor
reset
tell me
towel?
that they last too long. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I like to have a lot of them. So that's the thing
I
I think
wash
that,
mine with water.
yeah. And when people first start using them, they only have one or two, but I mean, I have like 10 because I don't like to use them on multiple cars. But okay, Tony, how do you clean your reset towel? I keep mine lives in the bucket of Absolute and it stays clean all the time. So I never dry mine out. I don't empty my bucket of Absolute. I leave it and the towel lives in there. And then when the next car comes in, I start over. So then that's when I get the clean bucket of Absolute. But otherwise, I leave my buckets full with the water, dirty water, whatever. I mean, it still keeps everything clean. My reset towels last forever. If I do take them out, I hang them over my sink with the red side folded together. So you never want to fold the clay together. You want to fold it the other way. And I've let them dry out like that and they're fine. Otherwise, you can use rags to riches to clean them, but don't use the high dilute or don't use the soaking amount, where we say like 1 cup to 5 gallons of rags to riches. Don't do that. And the reason I say that is it actually pulls the color out, but you can rinse them with rags to riches is totally fine. So I'll take a bucket I only do mine every like 3 or 4 months because they live in the Absolute. So they stay pretty clean. I'll do just, a 3 gallon bucket with like a 1 cap full of rags to riches and I'll, rinse them in there and then rinse them out and put them back in the Absolute and they're totally fine. So yeah, they're pretty easy to keep clean.
All right, let's hit this one and then make the last comment for
Yeah.
Was that Thom Kirby?
Tom. Yep.
Tom?
It's I believe it's actually Kirby Thompson. I know it throws everybody off.
Okay.
His name is it's Kirby Thompson.
What towels do you use to remove ceramic coatings? Also, any changes of coming out with pearl weave towels? I don't know about this. I like to use the Rag Company Minor 365s.
Yep. For all my coatings, I do all of mine exactly the same. My towel number 1 is a minor. My towel number 2 is a creature. That's just me. I do that on every single one. Inspiration, Legend, Soul, they're all the same. Love the minors and the creatures. And then chance of coming out with a pearl weave towel for ceramic. So we leave the toweling to the Rag Company. And then, we obviously bring those towels in on our side. They do have some pearl weave towels and, they're great. For some reason, I just really like the minors and they're a little bit more cost effective. So if you like to use a pearl weave towel, theirs are great. I will tell you that so they have they have the purple one, which is a little bit more stout. And then they have like their orange and gray and green or whatever. So with Inspiration, the lighter weight pearls work great. And then with Legend, you want to use the purple one. As far as like which pearl works best, if you're into the pearls, that's the way to go. But we haven't really thought too much about bringing them in just because it's probably because I just will still always say I love the minor.
Well, yeah, we've pretty well fallen in love with the minor. I mean,
it's just it's a little bit more cost effective. It does a great job with our coatings, but the pearls are great too. So,
all right, my request. Here's Kirby Thompson's question.
All right. Last question. Thanks everybody for joining us, by the way, today. Paste glass polish, new or older? I'm not aware of what that is. Keith?
Nope. But if you're going to polish glass, I would use Clarity Cream. That's our go-to.
Yeah.
It is actually not a new thing. It might be a revisit of an older version of a product. I've seen paste glass cleaners, around forever. We used to actually use some paste glass cleaners with, believe it or not, quadruple aught steel wool to hand scrub a piece of glass. Again, no different than what we do with Clarity Cream. And I don't think there's a right or wrong answer on the product. If it works and it's safe on the glass, go for it. But they're not new. Now, if you're talking about a cerium oxide paste polish, that's a different thing. That actually does remove some of the surface. So got to be careful there. We had a request to do a crystal wash video, so I guess maybe we ought to do one.
Okay.
So
I actually have one that I filmed 3 years ago. Literally, we've just never put it out because then Iron Buster came out. So I'll look for that video. I'll have to ask Rennie.
Cool.
I'll ask Rennie and Chris because we actually we did make that video. We just never got to, like, right when it was ready to come out. Iron Buster.
Well, guys,
so I got to
head out. I have a long drive.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I have a 68 Charger to do.
Awesome.
Well,
happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yep.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keith,
for being part of our team and our family. And we will see you guys in 2 weeks, or I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. And I think Chris will be back in this chair. So that'll be even better. I'll be thankful for that.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. We will see you in 2 weeks.
See you guys.